As you have seen before, many sites use cookies to exchange user and session information. We will now see how to handle the use of cookies with JMeter. In our previous session recording with JMeter, we have started creating a script, and today we're going to keep building onto that same script. In order for our test to run a bit quicker, we're going to disable the option Retrieve all embedded resources to avoid all the secondary requests from being processed. So let's run our test and see if any cookie information is being exchanged. Normally, the cookie information is sent in the first response from the server and is used in following requests, so it is correct not to see any cookies being sent in this first request. In order to see where the cookie is sent, let's add a second request to the server. For example, let's add the option of selecting an item from the menu. So let's go back to JMeter and add a controller to include this request. Let's add a step to our script that will be to select an item, and in it we're going to create the HTTP request. Here we will have to indicate the server to which the request is made and the path that we'll obtain from the browser request. Let's run the test again to see what happens now. And we can see that no cookies are sent in our second request either. This is because the cookies that are being sent from the server are not being stored. For this, we will have to add the element HTTP Cookie Manager. So let's right-click on our thread group and we will find it under the configuration elements. The Cookie Manager element stores and sends cookies just like a web browser. So when we have a request that contains a cookie on its response, the Cookie Manager will automatically store this value and it will use it for future requests to that same site. It is important to know that when we have many threads running, each one of them will have its independent cookie storage area, which will allow for JMeter threads to have its own session. If we select this option, all our server-defined cookies will be cleared each time our main thread group is executed. Here we define the cookie policy that will be used to manage our cookies. Compatibility is the default option and should work in most cases. Note that if we select Ignore Cookies, it will be as though we didn't have a cookie manager. This is the implementation by default. If the website we're testing uses IPv6, then we should choose the HC4 cookie handler. And here we can manually add cookies to the cookie manager. All these hard-coded cookies will be shared by all JMeter threads. So let's run our test now that we have added our cookie manager. As we said before, it's okay for the first request not to contain a cookie, but now we can see that in our second request this cookie data is being sent. As you can see, cookie management is quite easy with JMeter. Other load generators require us to handle it in a more explicit way. Here we only need to add the cookie manager and JMeter will take care of the rest. So these are the basics that we need to know of how to work with cookies in JMeter. In our future sessions we'll keep on working with other important elements.